and welcome to the My Mentor orientation deck for mentors. Thank you for coming along. My name is Tanisha Tago. If you have any questions during this webinar, please feel free to store them and send them to us in an email to mymentor@gsmlondon.ac.uk. So the My Mentor project itself is a mentoring scheme to support level 5 at-risk students, meaning more specifically that they have at least one module that is on their final sit, and so they are at risk of failing and possibly being withdrawn off their degree courses. If you do end up having questions as we're going through things, make a note. This would be a pilot program, and so there is no doubt that there will be areas that can be developed, revised, rebuilt possibly in some situations, and for us to really be able to identify those areas and make the most from this particular pilot is to receive feedback from yourselves and from your mentees, constructive feedback, something specific, something that we can tangible, that we can actually use to make the experience better for everybody and to decrease the failure rate across the institution. So we do really appreciate your opinion and your perspective and any of your input. So we'll get started now. Here, as you can see at the bottom of this slide, is the email address in case you've missed it, that you can send information to, which is mymentor@gsmlondon.ac.uk. So we would like you to follow, I suppose you will already understand and know how the mentee relationship cycle works, but we'd like you to follow this quite simple cycle because of the short period of time. So initially starting out and trying to encourage your students to begin to build a relationship and become open with you, perhaps share some experiences, share maybe experiences of your academic life, difficulties that you found, and trying to get them out of their shell, trying to find something in common that you share in common with them that allows you to open the door to a mentoring relationship that can last for the semester. Then moving forward into the second and third opportunities to communicate with them and possibly meet face to face, it would be very good to start to focus on the issues. So ideally, as part of the first meeting starting out, you would have completed the learning contract. That would allow you to understand the needs and the interests of the student, and to make agreements on how you feel you could help them to accomplish certain tasks and get to a certain point. So now, whilst you're in stage 2, it would be really good to start focusing in on those issues and really pinpointing them one at a time to see the progress that has been made there, and possibly even helping them to develop an action plan and seeing about whether or not some of the issues that they're having is more about the perspective and the angle at which they're viewing the problem as opposed to the problem itself. Moving on to there, we get into stage 3, which is all about making progress and just standing alongside them and allowing them to really move forward and come to you with drafts and come to you with pointers and things that they need to know. Maybe you can now start to signpost them, still maintaining the one-to-one meetings as much as possible until the official mentoring period is over. However, but just giving them more independence and autonomy and allowing them to move forward and make their own decisions, and then come to you with any issues that perhaps you can advise them on. And then coming to the end of semester, hopefully that they will be able to reach the destination of actually submitting their assignments, having attended all of their resit sessions, possibly even showed you a draft of their work, and then the mentoring relationship can come to an end, and it can be closed off, by which point we would also conduct some focus groups with both mentors and mentees to understand what could have been better, and also just to really understand where the fundamental issues may be lying for other students who could possibly find themselves being at risk in coming semesters. This is a cycle that we would like to recommend that you attempt to go through. So the mentoring, specifically what we refer to in this particular project, we have split the orientation into both mentoring and coaching. So in this particular project, we see mentoring as you offering support and encouraging them to manage their own learning, to maximise the potential, to develop their skills and improve their performance, and to really ultimately be the person that they wanted to be at the point where they decided to enroll in a higher education degree. As we have explained also on the mentee orientation, this is definitely not about making friends, about them developing a dependence on you, about you being able to control any aspect of their lives, offering them counselling, and definitely is not a supervising role. We have made it very clear, both in the ways that we've designed this program and also in the mentee orientation. We've explained to the mentees, also in their orientation, that you are not here to provide them with specific academic advice, because you are a mentor or a coach, depending on the relationship you decide to take up with them. And so they do still need to go to their lecturers, tutors, module leaders, and personal tutors with academic questions before coming along to you and possibly speaking to you more about advice or how to ask those questions in a better way to receive the kind of answers that they feel that they want. Lastly, the meetings are definitely not about gossip and clicks and giving them solutions to specific issues. You're just guiding them and signposting them and allowing them to see how they could do better themselves. As a mentor, we would like you to see your role as just giving advice, guidance, sharing ideas, providing feedback. Definitely act as a sounding board for their ideas and especially for their concerns, because in actual fact their concerns about being here at university and their career choices are shared amongst other students, and this plays a fundamental role in allowing us to be able to profile these kind of student groups so that we can ensure that we are providing the support that they need and ensuring that their concerns about being here or being able to get a career of their choice in future are reduced, and so they don't become concerns, they become more, like positive things to look forward to. We also would like you to try to identify resources that they can use to enhance their own personal development within the institution first and foremost, so that we're able to support them and calculate their distance travelled and their learning and growing journeys, but also externally. So if you are aware of external membership groups, events, training opportunities, etc. that students could take up, please feel free to recommend them, but just do not recommend anything that may cause the students to come back and assume that we're affiliated, or anything that could bring down the brand or GSM London. When appropriate, do play devil's advocate to help the mentee to think through important decisions and strategies involved in their work as well. Please try to listen to them carefully. I mean, it goes without saying, but these students are worried to a certain extent about their academic journeys, regardless of whether or not they show it, because of the other areas that are involved in the fact that if they get withdrawn, they'll still have this debt, they'll still have a gap in their lives where they thought there would once be a degree and a career that at some point in the future they will come to terms with, and possibly not have really good emotional reactions to that realization once it's too late. Also support them by sharing your own experiences of both failures and successes. Give them as much unbiased support as you can in an honest and constructive way, and just hear their ideas as well. We're not saying to accept their ideas, but just hear their ideas and see how you can facilitate and support their decision making, and maybe provide them with alternative perspectives, or signpost them to other departments so they can have different support from those departments that may be better suited to their needs. Yes, definitely, you can try to inspire the mentee to realise their goal and their potential. However, this is not a motivational scheme. We're not doing this scheme to motivate the students. The students need to motivate themselves. That needs to come from within, and they need to just really take responsibility on their learning journey. Yes, we would definitely like you to try to inspire your mentees to realise their potential. However, this is not a motivational project. We're not here to motivate them. We're really here to ensure that they become inspired to learn, or at least remember what inspired them to learn in the first place, and to provide them with support over the course of the semester. If appropriate, seek advice and refer the mentees to other points of contact, other people who can help them, and definitely highlight any ethical issues that may be arising during the process as soon as possible. Please do not wait for a later date to report this. Do not provide a counselling service under any circumstances, whether or not you are a trained and qualified counsellor. That is not what this scheme is about, and we would like to be able to judge everyone's experience at the end fairly and equally, and so we would like to leave any element of counselling out of this project if possible. And please do not give specific academic advice as well that would normally be given by the lecturer or the tutor, but do provide generic kind of higher education expectations type of advice, time management type of advice, and things like that that may be useful to the student. Do not supply a training service, so don't see this as a one-to-one training service. This is an opportunity to talk and get to know the mentee that you have been allocated, and not to give them one-to-one training. This is also not a therapy session, as I mentioned earlier with the counselling, so don't provide any therapeutic interventions either. Don't take responsibility for the success away from the mentee, and don't intrude into areas which they decide that they want to keep private. That's just to keep maintaining the respect across the board, because we've also asked them not to do that with yourselves as mentors. And please do not create a dependency on yourselves. The scheme is only set to run for 10 weeks, and after those 10 weeks it will be coming to an end. So please do not create a culture of dependency between yourself and your mentee. So the other option with the mentoring relationship is to go down the coaching route, which is slightly different to mentoring, and sometimes is misinterpreted for mentoring. So as a result, we decided to put an element of background on coaching, which we feel is okay to do as part of this scheme, if you decide that you'd rather coach the student rather than mentor them. But you would need to discuss that and agree that with the student, and then make sure that we are aware of whether or not you're going down a coaching or a mentoring route. So coaching, for the purposes of this project, is about developing the students' skills and their abilities, also about boosting their development, their performance, and supporting them in dealing with issues and challenges specific to their academic development here with us before they encounter bigger problems than being on the final set. So coaching, as I said earlier, is not therapy, and it's not to focus on the past. Please do not focus on the past or allow them to bring too much of that up, unless you're talking about learning experiences or using some of the themes, such as describing a time in the past where you achieved a great success, etc. We really don't want to delve too much into the past. We want to understand purely the past in relation to being at GSM, and that's as far as we'd like to go. The role for you is just basically to assume that they're capable, and they are able to develop a plan with you and keep to it, and we would like you to maintain that perspective with them and keep their spirits high about that. The more of that you can support your mentee to develop, the better. So do try to encourage growth through each experience and help them to expand their minds. Definitely offer constructive criticism, and when you don't know everything, please just be willing to admit that you do not know it, and just signpost them to other people. Ensure that they are able to evaluate their own ideas and to develop continuously as well. Don't tell them what to think, just show them how to become more effective, and to come out of the gaps of traps of thinking, these habits that students get into when they feel as though they cannot achieve and there is no point and what's the point and everything against them. We really want to break that kind of cycle and break them out of those traps. So please don't offer just instant answers. It's not a one answer fits all situation. If they are unwilling, let us know. We will try to work around both you and the mentee to develop that, but from a perspective of coaching, if you decide to go down the coaching route, if they're not willing to do that, then just stick to mentoring. Okay, so the project timeline for this semester is as follows. We will begin in teaching week 3, at which point you will then be required to send an introductory email to your mentee, and also send them an invitation for a meeting in either week 3 or week 4. We will then need you to meet with your mentee and fill in a session or evaluation form, and then follow up between the meetings to ensure that everyone's on track to review the progress on the learning contract, which you would have developed in week 1, and also to ensure that they intend on attending their week 5 resit classes. So during week 5, just check on them by email to make sure that that's happening, and plan the meeting for week 6. And during the week 6 meeting, there'll be quite a lot of things to cover, such as reviewing the assessment briefs, ensuring that they have an understanding of what needs to be covered, discussing time management, and also planning for their assessment revision and meeting for week 8. So do try and keep up with the earlier meetings so that by week 6 you're set to move forward. In week 7, you will then start to discuss the progress with them, perhaps have a look at a draft of their work, and then for week 8, during week 8 as well, actually review the work to date and try to talk to them about time spent and their approach that they've used, and just try to develop a learning experience from it for them. And then discuss with the mentee the revision processes that they plan to use for any exams that they have. If they do have exams, if they just have coursework, then maybe specifically look at coursework there. And then in week 9, you are able to contact them to see if they'd like to have a meeting prior to submission, or like to talk about anything. The resits are on the 14th of December, so please ensure that the students are aware of this, because there will be no late submissions on resits. So here we have some activity ideas for you. I'm not going to go through them all because I understand you have limited time to be in this webinar, but they're just simple things like meeting over a coffee on campus, or having a meal on campus, or sharing your growing up story. There are also weekly sessional themes that we have suggested in the slide deck. These are just things for conversation, such as why we do what we do as human beings. They're more kind of like inspirational conversations. How it works is you would pick the theme the week before your next meeting, and ask your mentee to think over those ideas before the next meeting comes along. So you wouldn't just pick one on the day, you pick it in advance and make sure everyone's thought about it for at least a few days before you meet. So there's quite a few here. You know, how do you make a change in life? When did you fail to achieve a goal? And talk to them about what the reasons are that they feel they probably failed, and just bring them to understand how maybe that could be useful for them to do more regularly in their academic career. Also things like, you know, what shapes them as a human being. Sometimes it's good to really get that human level with people as well. So there are different themes here that you can pick and discuss through the students. So the set of resources that are available for you are in the Network Drive and in the Google Drive, and it consists of the learning contract, the FAQs that I'm going to read out now in a moment, the activity ideas that I mentioned earlier, the talking themes, the meeting planning worksheet, and things like that. So that's the resources. But there are also some really important GSM policies and procedures that we would like you to go through, such as working one-to-one, those that deal with working one-to-one, off-site visits, and learning contracts. So if there are any issues or questions that you have, feel free to send an email to us, or to go onto the website or the internet and have a look through the policies and procedures to make sure that you are well versed on how they should be, that particular issue should be dealt with officially. When you're completing any of the forms online or printed, it is very important that any questions with an asterisk are filled in, because we require them. And do double check that you have completed all the sections if you fill the form in online. Download a copy for your records just by clicking to print and then save as PDF, or print it if you need, but we would prefer to keep less of a paper trail. Physical paper trail for data protection purposes, you're able to save that onto your Network Drive, etc., and share it digitally if needed. And then just either submit it or scan it in and send it to us as an email, depending on the method that you use. So the kind of FAQs we've kind of proposed from students would be things like whether or not they can change their mentor, if they decide they don't want to continue, and then other quite generic issues like running late or not being able to attend a meeting. and not knowing where meetings will be, etc. So in terms of changing mentors, we do not recommend the mentors or mentees swap during the semester, just because of the time taken to allocate students and mentors and develop the project. We do not have time to make those changes within the 10-week semester. However, in the future we'll be trying to ensure that mentoring groups are set up well in advance and making those introductions before the semester started, and maybe on some of those occasions it may be enough time to do that, but we do not recommend any changes once the project has started. We have told the students that if they no longer want to continue, they are free to contact us and we can talk them through it. However, we are not likely to allow students to re-enroll, and if they decide they don't want to continue, we are not necessarily we're not trying to encourage that. Basically, we need them to complete it because we need them to complete their assessments and to finish, and we need to support them in that process. So we're definitely not trying to promote either changing of mentors or quitting the course. If you are running late or cannot attend a meeting, please do let us know as soon as possible by either placing a phone call to GSM on 0208 518 7800 or sending an email to mymentor@gsmlondon.ac.uk with running late in the subject bar. Meetings, we recommend all meetings are held on campus, and because we have cafeterias in the campuses, or at least eating areas, we have IT services, we have meeting rooms, and so for that, and they're all in different parts of the city. So for that reason, we do request that all face-to-face meetings should be conducted on campus as much as possible. We can have off-site meetings, however it's advisable that meetings are just conducted on campus unless there isn't any space, or you trust that everything will be okay and you're following GSM's policies in terms of going off-site with students. So thank you very much. My name is Tanisha Tago, and now we've come to the end. We are here to help. The program coordinators are myself, Tanisha Tago, and Liz Lana, the Deputy Dean. And we do have some departmental assistants working with us on this project. So please do communicate with us via the mymentor@gsmlondon.ac.uk email address, because one of us is likely to get back to you and respond with any kind of support or referrals or solutions to issues that you may have. So thank you again for participating. Please ensure that you do watch the learning contract video if you have not already watched that one, and ensure that your students, your mentees, also watch their orientation video so they can have an understanding of what they can expect. Feel free to watch it yourself as well. And we hope that you have an enjoyable experience as a mentor. Let us know any issues that you have. We are here to help. We are here to support you. Thank you so much for joining and allocating some time to this, and speak to you soon.